In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes is no longer as certain as she once was. The rules she's followed, the truths she's trusted, everything is starting to feel uncertain. And this episode may mark the beginning of her awakening. In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes begins to show subtle but powerful signs that her faith in Gilead is no longer unshakable. From the very beginning, there's a noticeable shift in her demeanor. Where she once responded with certainty and obedience, we now see hesitation. It's in the small details, the way she pauses before answering, the uncertainty in her eyes, and the quiet moments where she seems lost in thought. These changes may seem minor on the surface, but in a world like Gilead, even the slightest doubt is dangerous. Agnes has been raised to believe in a rigid system where questioning authority isn't just discouraged, it's forbidden. And yet, something has changed. Whether it's inconsistencies she's beginning to notice or a growing sense that things aren't as they should be, Agnes can no longer fully silence her inner voice. She's not openly rebelling, not yet, but the foundation of her belief is starting to crack. And once doubt takes root, it doesn't stay quiet for long. In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes' growing doubt begins to take shape as she starts noticing the inconsistencies around her. What once felt orderly and unquestionable now appears carefully controlled, almost manufactured. The rules she's followed her entire life don't always match what she sees in practice. Authority figures say one thing, but their actions suggest something very different. These moments aren't loud or dramatic, they're quiet, unsettling realizations. A conversation that doesn't quite add up. A reaction that feels forced. A situation that contradicts everything she's been taught to believe. And the more Agnes observes, the harder it becomes to ignore. The illusion of Gilead as a perfect, righteous system begins to fracture. What she once accepted without question now feels restrictive, even suffocating. It's not just about rules anymore, it's about control, power, and the truth hidden beneath it all. For Agnes, this is a turning point, because once you start seeing the cracks, you can't unsee them. In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes' journey becomes deeply personal as her doubts turn inward, sparking a powerful internal struggle. She's no longer just observing inconsistencies, she's feeling them. Every new realization clashes with the beliefs she's held on to her entire life. The rules that once gave her clarity now feel like restraints, and the certainty she relied on is slowly slipping away. This creates a constant tension within her. On one side is the version of Agnes shaped by Gilead, obedient, faithful, and unquestioning. On the other is a growing awareness that something isn't right, and a quiet urge to understand the truth. What makes this conflict so compelling is how isolating it is. Agnes can't openly express what she's feeling. Even a hint of doubt could put her at risk, forcing her to keep everything bottled up. That silence only intensifies the struggle, making every thought feel heavier and more dangerous. By this point in the episode, it's clear, Agnes is no longer at peace with the world she lives in. She's caught between belief and reality, and the deeper she thinks, the harder it becomes to hold on to either one without breaking. In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes reaches a quiet but powerful turning point, one that signals she may no longer be able to return to the certainty she once had. This isn't a dramatic rebellion or a sudden act of defiance. Instead, it's something far more subtle and meaningful, awareness. For the first time, Agnes begins to consciously question what she has been told, not just emotionally, but logically. The things she once accepted without hesitation now demand explanation. And when those explanations don't fully satisfy her, a shift begins. It's small, but irreversible. You can see it in how she reacts, longer pauses before responding, moments of hesitation when authority speaks, and a growing distance between what she's expected to believe and what she's starting to feel is true. This awakening is not complete yet, but it has clearly begun. Agnes is no longer simply absorbing the world around her, she is analyzing it, even if she doesn't fully understand what that means yet. And in Gilead, even a single step toward truth can change everything. In the Testament's episode 6, Agnes' growing awareness doesn't just shape this moment, it sets the stage for everything that comes next. Now that doubt has taken root, it cannot simply disappear. Even if she tries to suppress it, the questions she's begun to ask will continue to linger. And in a system like Gilead, unanswered questions are dangerous, not just for Agnes, but for everyone around her. Moving forward, this internal shift could push her into increasingly difficult situations. She may begin to notice more contradictions, form new alliances, or find herself unintentionally pulled toward resistance simply by seeking the truth. At the same time, the risks are growing. Awareness comes with consequences, and in Gilead, even silent curiosity can be seen as rebellion. Every step she takes toward understanding also brings her closer to exposure. What makes this moment so important is that it marks a point of no return. Agnes is no longer completely shaped by what she was taught, she is beginning to question, to interpret, and to think for herself. And once that process begins, nothing in her world can remain the same. Agnes' journey in the Testament's episode 6 raises a powerful question: is she truly beginning to awaken, or is she still only at the edge of realization? Her growing doubts, internal conflict, and first steps toward questioning Gilead suggest a major transformation is underway, but the path ahead is far from simple. Every choice she makes now could shape not only her future, but the world around her. What do you think? Is this the beginning of Agnes' rebellion, or just the start of a longer struggle within herself? Aunt Lydia's perspective on Agnes in the Testaments is complex, shaped by control, ideology, and an unsettling sense of protection. From Aunt Lydia's point of view, Agnes is not just another girl in Gilead. She represents both success and potential instability within the system. On one hand, Agnes is proof that Gilead's upbringing methods work. She is obedient, well-trained, and shaped by the values Lydia enforces. But on the other hand, Lydia is not blind to change. She notices signs of curiosity, hesitation, and emotional conflict in Agnes. And that makes Agnes dangerous in a different way, not because she is openly rebellious, but because she is beginning to think for herself. What makes Lydia's view so layered is that it isn't purely harsh or detached. There are moments where she appears almost protective, as if she understands the fragility of girls like Agnes inside the system she helps maintain. But that protection is always tied to control, guiding Agnes back into obedience rather than freedom. Aunt Lydia's view of Agnes in the Testaments is far more layered than simple authority versus obedience. It sits in a complicated space between control, ideology, and a distorted form of care. To Aunt Lydia, Agnes represents what Gilead claims to achieve. She is properly trained within the system, disciplined and respectful of authority, shaped into the identity Gilead expects of young women. From this angle, Agnes is proof that the structure works. Lydia sees her as someone who has been saved from chaos and given purpose, at least in Gilead's terms. However, Lydia is not naive. She notices when Agnes hesitates, when her responses feel less automatic, and when curiosity begins to replace certainty. To Lydia, this is not harmless. It signals a dangerous transition, the moment when obedience begins to weaken. She understands that once a girl starts asking internal questions, it becomes harder to fully control her direction. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more The Testament's breakdowns, theories, and episode analyses.